Welcome back once again in our channel, The Knowledge of God in a Deeper Dimension. Now we are at the very last part of the study, which is we are at the fourth part, and which is exactly the fourth video. At the very first video, we study who is God. We explain who God really is, and we know exactly what it means to be a child or children of God or sons of God. At the second video, what we see at the second video. At the second video, we studied the difference between the angels and the children of God. We see the difference, they are not the same. At the third video, we study what it means they become one flesh. When God says the man shall leave his mother and his father and with old Kafaska with his wife, and they shall become one flesh. We explained that. Now at the very last part of the video, we are going to explain what does it mean, the death of the soul of the children of God. If God is immortal and his children are the same nature with him, so what does it mean, the death of the soul? Okay, bear with me so you can clearly understand this point, which is a little difficult in the study, but with the help of the Spirit of God, it's easy to understand things. So let's go. To understand the death of the soul of the child of God, we need first to understand what is the cause of the death of the soul of the children of God. The cause of the death of the soul of the children of God is the lust that exists in the world. Now, if you wanted to know what the lust are, I'm going to read this verse for you so that you can know the three types of lust that exist in the world. 1 John 2, verse 16. Here's what it says. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life isn't the Father's, but it's the world's. These are the three types of lust that are in the world, and they are the cause of the death of the soul of the children of God. Now, question that we should ask. Who created them? Who created those lusts? Where are they come from? And to know the manifestation of, the first time those lusts were manifested was in the life of Eve. I'm going to read this verse in the book of Genesis chapter 3 verse 6 so that you can see exactly where they were manifested at the first time. Genesis 3 verse 6. So, when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, this is the first lust, good for food. They call that the desire of flesh. And that it was the light to the eyes. This is the second lust. This is the lust of eyes. And that the tree was going to be desired to make one wise. This is the third one. They call it the pride of life. This is the third one. She took of its fruit and ate. And she also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate. You see, that was the manifestation of these three types of lust in the body, in the life of people. That was the desire of the woman that was manifested. And these are the lusts that caused the death of children, the death of the soul of children of God. Now, another question that we should ask. Who created those lusts? Okay, before I go there, I'm going to explain these the manifestation. We are going to see the manifestation of these three lusts again in the life of Jesus Christ Why? Because Jesus was manifested on earth. He came in having a body. Because he was having a body, and so he has these three lusts in his body as well, because they are the desire of the flesh. I'm going to pick them out for you so you can see them when Jesus was tempted in the desert. Let's go to the book of Matthew chapter 4, verse 3, verse 6, and verse 8 and 9. It says, "And the tempter came and said to him, If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread." That is the desire of the flesh, because the body wants to eat, or the body wants food after 40 days and 40 nights fasting. So the body hungry. That's the desire of flesh. This is the desire of flesh. Okay. Secondly, and he said to him, verse 6, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, and for it's written, He will command His angels concerning you, and on their hands they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone." That is the desire of the eyes. Why? Because the eyes want to see wonders. The eyes want to see miracle, marvelous thing. This is the second desire manifested from Jesus Christ in his body. And for the last one, which is in verse number 8 and 9, he says, "Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world in their glory. And he said to him, All these I will give you, if you will fall down and worship me." This is the pride of life, because he is showing Jesus all the kingdom, all power. And when you have the pride, when we have the pride of life, and you wanted to have full power, this is what happening. This is the manifestation of the third lust. Now you see, they're manifested at the beginning from Eve. They're manifested as well in the body of Jesus. So now all human on earth are confronting or facing this type of temptation or this type of lust. Last question we should ask: where are they come from? Those lusts that we are fighting with, where are they come from? These lusts can represent the will of the Lord of sin and death that is in our body. And this is exactly what they are. The will of the Lord of sin and death. To let you know the truth, that we have two laws in our body. One is there to lead us to act according to the will of God the Father. When we act according to the will of the Father, we are acting according to the Spirit. And another law that is in our body is there to lead us to act according to the will of our own nature. When we are acting according to the will of our own nature, they call this people who's acting according to the flesh. This is where the devil is leading you. This is where your own nature is leading you. And this is what they call the will of the flesh, the will of the devil, or the will of Satan. Now you understand. I can keep moving. I will explain this for you in the book of Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. Here is what God said. "I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel." Now, who is the serpent? As I explained you before, the serpent is the natural will of us. The serpent represents a seed of the spirit of flesh. and the woman represent the manifestation of the mother soul, as I explained it before, on earth. So, which is the first Adam or all men on earth? And this is what I was explaining. So, God will put enmity between the will of the woman and enmity between the offspring of the woman. It's like God is putting enmity between man and his own will. That means that we are on earth in a battle within our own natural will. If we want to please God, if we want to act according to the Spirit of God, we have to fight against our own will. We have to fight against our own desire if we want to please God. And this is exactly what it explained here in this book. Now, if you want to understand how the will of our own nature, the will of the desire of flesh are manifested in our body, this is what they call the law of the will of the flesh. I'm going to read this verse for you so you can see what is the power of the Satan, or the power of the will of flesh that is in our body, to see how it manifests. Let's go to the book of Romans chapter 7, verse 17 to 23. It says, "So now it's no longer I who do it, but a sin that dwells within me. For I know that nothing good dwells in me, that is, in my flesh. For I have the desire to do what is right, but not the ability to carry it out. For I do not do the good I want, but the evil I do not want is what I keep on doing. Now if I do what I do not want, it's no longer I who do it, but a sin that dwells within me. So I find it to be a law that when I want to do right, evil lies close at hand. For I delight in the law of God in my inner being, but I see in my members another law, raging war against the law of my mind and making me captive to the law of sin that dwells in my members." Now you see the behavior of the will of the flesh that is in our body, and that is the law of sin that within our body is trying to lead us to act according to the desire of the flesh and to keep us captive of the sin. And this is what exactly that Apostle Paul explained here. He finds this law in his body. And we have another law in ourselves to lead us to act according to the will of God. And we have our natural desire that's fighting against the will of God in our body. Now, what is the second law? The second law is the law of the Spirit of life, which is the law of the will of the Spirit of the Father. So, this law is symbolized by the offspring of the woman. The offspring of the woman would be Jesus, when Jesus would come on earth, because Jesus will be the one who come with the seed of the will of the Spirit of the Spirit of the Father. And this is what it says in the book of Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, when God said, "I will put enmity between you and the woman," meaning our desire will be fighting against us. And the offspring of the woman, as I said before, the woman represents the manifestation of the soul of the Father, which is what we are on earth. We represent Adam, the first Adam. The first Adam represents the manifestation of humanity in the physical. The first Adam represents the manifestation of the mother soul, which is all human on earth. So what happened? The offspring of the woman will be an entity that will come with the seed of the law of life, which is the message that Jesus will bring forth. Jesus is the offspring of the woman because Jesus come on earth through humanity. So, to explain this, I will have to go to the book of Revelation chapter 12, verse 1 and 2, and verse 5. Here's what it says. And a greater sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. This woman can represent all humanity, okay? And the sun that she was 12, the suns can represent the presence of God, or we can say God. Otherwise, it can represent the seed or the message of the New Testament that the seed of the woman will bring. It says the moon was under her feet. The moons can represent the first covenant, which is the Old Testament. And this is exactly it represents under the feet of the woman. The woman already passed at this stage. And what happened? Verse 2. She was pregnant and was crying out in birth, pain, in the agony of giving birth. Now what mean? Humanity was in pain. Humanity was in agony, but pregnant of a child. And that child will represent the seed of the woman, which is going to be Jesus. If we go to the chapter to verse 5, chapter 12 still, Revelation verse 5, and it's going to be saying, she gave birth to a male child. That male child is what Jesus means, which is the manifestation of the Spirit of God, or the Father Spirit that will come to reunite it, to become one with the flesh that we are on earth, to make us become one, to save us. So what happened? One who is the rule all the nations with a rod of iron, but her child was cut up to God and to his throne. This is what happened. When Jesus came with the seed of the light that was enveloped the woman. The seed is the message. The seed is the message of the Spirit that we will have to practice so we can resist with the desire of the flesh. So we can resist with the serpent. So we can become victory over the desire of the flesh. And Jesus was the one who came with that message, come with that seed. Now our duty is to fight against our own human will as a soul, to submit ourselves to the Spirit, to the will of the Spirit. And this is exactly our duty. We have got to fight against ourselves. I'm going to read this verse to you where you will see our duty is to exactly obey to the will of the Spirit and fighting against ourselves. Romans chapter 8, verse 5 and verse 13. Verse 5 says, for those who live according to the flesh set their mind on the things of the flesh, but those who live according to the Spirit set their mind on the thing of the Spirit. Verse 13, for if you live according to the flesh, you will die, meaning you will die in your soul. And when you die in your soul, you are not considered as child or sons of God. But if by the Spirit you put to death the deeds of the body, you will live. Now, how will you be able to live by the Spirit? The best way to live by the Spirit, to fight against the will of your own body, of your own natural desire, you have to know you have to have the true knowledge of the Spirit of the Father. The seed that Jesus come with you need to have that knowledge and to carry it in you, so that the Spirit of the Father leads you. And when the Spirit of the Father is leading you, you have the seed what Jesus brought. And when you have that seed in you, you will have ability to do what's right and to fight against the will of the devil. As I explained in the video number 3, no, I believe it was in the video number 2, when the desire of the soul take over the desire of the spirit, and that time you find yourself disconnected with the Spirit of the Father. When you are disconnected with the Spirit of the Father, you are acting according to your own desire, because your soul is taking over your spirit. But if your spirit is connected with the Spirit of the Father, you cannot acting according to your own will, because you will know what's right and you will know what's wrong. You will not only please yourself, but you will act with justice. You will act according to the will of the Father. Now, to explain this, since the Spirit is the Father, as a soul, we must obey to the Spirit. We must obey to the Spirit and do the will of the Father. And as an example, when Jesus came on earth, as he was among a human being, he was playing the role of a soul. So he showed us that he obeys 100% to the Spirit of the Father. He fight against all the desire of the soul, which is all is the natural desire. He fight them all. When Jesus came on earth, Jesus condemned the devil, meaning the desire of the body. I'm going to read this book for you in the book of John 14, verse 30 to 31. It says, Jesus said, I will no longer talk much with you, for the ruler of this world is coming. He has no claim on me. What did it mean by that? When Jesus said the ruler of this world come and he has no claim on me, it means I come in this physical world. My body, all the desire of my body, who is governing all people in this world, he comes, he has no claim on me. Any desire of my own doesn't take over of my spirit. And this is exactly what Jesus said here in John 14, verse 30. In 31, let's see what it says in verse 31. But I do as the Father has commanded me, and so that the world may know that I love the Father. Rise, let us go from here. When Jesus said that I do as the Father has commanded me, it means that I obey totally to the Spirit. I follow all the command of the Spirit. Now for us, our duty is to learn to know the wills of God, so we can act according to the Spirit of the Father that is in us and dwelling us. And so we don't do things according to our own desire. Simple as that. Do you understand? I'm going to read this book, Ephesians chapter 2, verse 2 and 3. In which you once walked, following the course of this world, following the prince of the power of the air. Now, who is the prince of the power of the air? The spirit that is now at work in the sons of disobedience. When it talks here about the sons of disobedience, is who? People that are not acting according to the will of the Spirit. People that are acting according to their own desire. And this is what it means there. Verse 3. Among whom we all once live in the passions of our own flesh. This is where they explain that. We were once living in the passions of our own flesh. Carrying out the desire of the body and the mind. And we were by nature children of wrath, like the rest of mankind. Okay, this is exactly what explained here. When you're living according to the desire of your own flesh, you are pleasing the body, you are looking for the comfortability, you want to be comfortable in everything you're doing, and you're thinking of your own self. You don't think about the Father. And this is where you become the child of the devil. This is where you become the master of your own self. This is where you become your own owner and you disconnected yourself with the Father. The serpent is judged according to this verse. According to John 16, verse 11, Jesus come on earth and judged the serpent. It says that concerning judgment, because the ruler of this world is judged. How Jesus judged the serpent? Meaning, Jesus come on earth and he win the battle. He never fell at once. He overcome all the battle, which means all the desire of our body, of the desire of our own thoughts. Jesus as a human has to go through all these battles. So he overcome all of them. And for that reason, he judged. He judged the ruler of this world. Christ had come to destroy the works of the devil. And this was the reason why Jesus came. To destroy the works of the devil. Hebrews chapter 2, verse 14. Since therefore the children share in flesh and blood, he himself, like Christ, partook of the same things, that through death he might destroy the one who has the power of death, that is the devil. Now, who has the power of death? The power of death, as I explained it before, is the law of the will of sin that is in our body. This law is pulling us away from doing what the Lord God wants us to do. Where the wills of God is to do what's right, but the wills of our own desire is to do what pleased ourselves. And when we please ourselves, we're acting according to the flesh. And Jesus comes to destroy all the works of the devil. And this is what it is. And I'm going to read this last part to close with the video. It's in 1 John 3, verse 8. Whoever makes a practice of sinning is of the devil. You see, if you're practicing sinning, I mean, if you're acting willingly, according to your own will, you are from the devil. For the devil has been sinning from the beginning. The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the works of the devil. Now, with the Spirit of the Father, we can control our body and to obey the wills of the Father and to not obey the will of the body to keep sinning. Because the Spirit of the Lord God in us and the knowledge of the seed that Jesus come with, it's enough to take us to the way of being a victory over the will of our body. That's why we have to always discern the thoughts that come in our mind. And when we can discern the thoughts that come in our mind through the wills of God, through the Bibles, and we know, we understand, so we will be able to conquer the battle. I know it's difficult, but our own will, we can't do it. Our own knowledge, we can't do it. Jesus come exactly on earth to save us from this battle. If we know the will of God through the message of Jesus Christ and we practice it, we will receive the Spirit of the Father. And that's the reason why Jesus come, to give us access to become child of God. And when we become a child of God, we receive that Spirit in us. And that Spirit is enough to make us to conquer this battle that we have against our own self. I believe that you understand this point that I was explaining here. What does it mean? The death of the soul of the child of God. And this is exactly what it means, the death of the soul. You were died spiritually in your soul, it's when you are acting according to your own wills. And when you don't have the Spirit of God in you, you are acting against the will of God. And in that case, you become your own master. You become your own owner. And this is what it calls this is what the Bible calls the son of the devil. And when you become a son of the devil, that means you acting according to your own natural understanding. You are not acting according to the understanding of the Spirit of the Father. And in that case, what's happened? It's your soul that take over of your spirit. And you know that the soul is manifested, represent the woman, and the spirit manifested is represent the man. Men shall always take over the soul. Now, if the soul is taking over the spirit, so you are disconnected with the Father. I believe you understand. If there is something you don't understand, so ask me some questions in the comment section below. I will do all my best to answer the questions. And if you have learned something new and if you understand this study, like, share, and subscribe, and share it to help other people to understand what it means to be sons of God, who God is, what's the difference between angels and sons of God, and what it means to live a life with your soul saved, with your soul alive, and what it means when you are separated with the Father. I'll see you another time. May God bless you all. See you in another video. Thank you for your time and for attending all this long study.